Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Catching Zeez. That's right. We're going to stick with that name, I think. Forgive me if you hear any big bangs in the background. It is nearing 4th of July where we are, so that's the reason for that. There are some fireworks going off nearby, so if you hear any of that, it's just fireworks. Not anything bad. Anyways, we have brought back the guest from the first episode, the little rookie. Would you like to say hi, pal?
Hi, Zeez. It is me again, the microscopic beginner. I am back on the podcast. Thank you for having me. Pokemon Sleep has still not come out, and I am still waiting.
Yeah, Pokemon Sleep. There's a lot to be said about Pokemon Sleep, but also not much at all at the same time. It's quite an enigma, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I've just been waiting patiently, but they're never going to make it.
Come on. You'll get it one day. You'll finally be able to sleep one day.
One day. One day.
Anyways, as a quick update to what we were talking about in the first episode, we were talking a lot about just like YouTube stuff in general. And just to give you a quick update before we jump into any other topics, I've actually been really looking at improving my content recently. And one thing that I've been pushing myself to do is reaching out to other creators. I'm really bad at this, but I reached out to multiple people just today. And weirdly enough, it was like I was definitely getting out of my comfort zone, but it actually felt really good. I don't know why. It just felt like I was actually making an effort to do something. Even though I was super nervous to do it, it still felt, like I was actually progressing, even though I hadn't like actually done anything, because I talked to a couple fellow creators and I was so scared to do it, but yet they were just completely fine. They were just like, oh, thanks for reaching out. This was cool. And I was like, wow, that actually wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it would be. Just a little update there. Trying to improve my content a lot recently. I've been looking into lots of different like little editing techniques and whatnot. So hopefully you'll be seeing some better content from me. But yeah, that's basically. I just wanted to do a quick little update on all of that. How have you been doing?
Oh, how have I been doing? I've been doing all right. For the better half, or I guess the better way to phrase it is that since the last time I have actually gotten some amount of sleep, because I remember the last time that we were doing the Zeez podcast, I had literally just woken up from a nap and we had recorded it at like, I don't know, I had literally fallen asleep in the afternoon and then we recorded at nighttime.
That's right.
To put that into perspective, that is not necessarily how normal humans work in terms of your sleep cycles, sleep schedule. Normally you're supposed to go to bed at night and wake up in the daytime, but I think it worked out very well because when I woke up I was in a very comfy mood, and a very just like a like a cozy warm feeling, right? Yeah, it's like that's how it always feels feeling, when you wake up. That feeling when you just wake up, you're just like it's Catching Zeez Podcast, yes.
Yeah, it's always, I definitely relate to that because it's so relaxing and cozy, and at least when you're waking up in the morning, like the sun is just like rising and it's starting to like warm up and you get that like really cozy feeling. I love that. Yeah. I really do like that feeling, and I think it's also because like, you don't have any like stress immediately, or you don't have any like thoughts, because like the more you think throughout the day, the more like stuff that you've got on your mind. But when you first wake up, you don't really have anything on your mind. You're not stressing out about anything unless like you've obviously like got to, get going right away. But yeah, it's just like that really nice cozy feeling, which makes people want to just stay in bed for a little while longer.
I actually agree with that sentiment a little bit, because like so I've been listening a little bit to the episode 2 and episode 3 of the Zeez podcast, just because I've been having some time playing video games. Sometimes you just have to grind, and when you grind video games, long form content is the best kind of content, because you just need something to kind of listen to in the background.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The two things that I really enjoy about your podcast so far is that the background scenery is really cozy. Gives me that nice. It's like I think the background scenery that you choose for your podcast is like ice thawing, or like just the flowing water, which I think is like a really nice, cozy, literally like sleepy kind of Zeez feeling. And then the music you choose is usually very calm, gaming music, and I really dig the vibe so far. And it's like it's really wonderful, I think. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So something that I've been doing for a long time that I never really got to like showcase is I have a lot of just like B-roll of just nature. Because I do a lot of filming, and I just like would do it at like local parks or whatever. And I have so much footage that I've just never used. And some of it was actually lost, a lot of it, because I broke one of my hard drives, which had tons of it on there. So I'm trying to like restart building up my like B-roll sort of stuff in the background, just like stock footage. I really do need to get that hard drive repaired so I can use a lot of my old stuff. But because I like filming, and there's a lot of stuff that I just like do off screen that never is like seen. But it's just like good to have a good stockpile. And I was like, hey, this is a good time to use it in the Catching Zeez podcast because it's just really relaxing. And I've always been really relaxed by the flow of water. I think it's just so mesmerizing and tranquil to watch. So I just thought, like, you know, why not do it for the podcast? So I'm glad you like that. I also make the opacity of the video slightly darker so it doesn't like blur, like super blaring in your eyes. It's like very soft. I don't know. I'm glad you enjoy it though.
Yeah, it looks it. I think the vibe is exactly what I'm going for right now, which is the Zeez comfy, you know, kind of vibe. So far, it's been great. Glad to be back.
Indeed, yeah. So speaking of like relaxing and cozy lifestyle kind of things, in the past, I know that you were struggling with like a lot of. I don't know if I should say like stress, but like I remember in like later high school, early college, you were like a person that really was like, I don't know, I guess I should say very busy, like all the time, didn't have a lot of time for sleep. And I know like the older you've gotten, the more you've appreciated a very, I guess I say healthy lifestyle where it's like you you really appreciate getting a full amount of sleep. And I guess you could just, if you could talk about that for a little bit, because I'm sure myself and a lot of other people have like some unhealthy lifestyle choices that we make. For me, like my sleep schedule is completely awful. But like having some advice or tips just about like lifestyle choices, if you've got any of that stuff, I think I'd love to hear it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to stress this. I'm not the best person in the world because sometimes I remember when I was going through a lot of stress, especially last year, I just remembered like being, you know, feeling really sad and depressed. And I would like really get into like playing Minecraft.
That's fair. It's a really relaxing game.
It is a relaxing game. One of our friends had opened up a Minecraft server, and I kind of just dove straight like head first into it. And that there's this one famous example where I think I played Minecraft for like 17 hours straight, did not move from my chair. Like that's just crazy. Sat there and just like walked around the world and found like iron golems to kill and stuff and to walk around, which I will say, after that experience, I can fully officially say I am a gamer. I wasn't sure before, but now I'm definitely sure because I think in the last podcast I mentioned that I was really into watching, you know, people like Chuck Conroy in Maryland because I couldn't afford to buy video games, or just my parents wouldn't let me when I was a little kid. But you know, now that I've gotten a little bit older, I definitely realized that if I don't stop myself, I'll sometimes just play video games for hours on end without stopping. For me, I think the thing that made me at least change my habits a little bit is to just get outside of my house. If I'm going to be completely honest, I had this really bad streak about a week ago. Which is this is pretty recent, so I've only fixed like a couple of things. But about a week ago, I was staying at home and not really doing much for like about a month or so. And you know, I think the healthiest thing that you can do for your body is just to get outside and get some sunlight. I know this is such a bad thing to say, but you can go outside and touch some grass.
Touch some grass, the classic, touch some grass. The classic, dude.
Get yourself one of those, what are they calling it? The Grimace shake?
Oh, don't even. I made a, dude. Actually, I want to talk about Grimace Shake a little bit. Not like in a depth, but I made a small video. I just wanted to like discuss that.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
But I will say the healthiest thing that you can do for yourself is to commit to going outside and changing your environment for sure. Because if you do everything in one place, it can tend to get muddled up a little bit. A little bit of exercise, a little bit of sunlight tends to put things into sort of put things into alignment. The one thing that for me really helped was that I tend to have a lot of nervous energy and I tend to worry a lot. So for me, when I worry a lot, I tend not to get, quite anything done, and I'll just sit down and log on to, the whatever local gacha game is currently out. But for me, it's like the most productive thing for me to do is to run that energy dry. So like I have a lot of stamina, and usually that stamina, if I don't do anything, goes to worrying, and that all that energy is spent on worrying.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sad thing. But for me, it's like I know I have to run that energy dry so that when I get home, I don't tend to think about those things because I'm just too sore and gassed out, so to say. So for me, running that energy out means like maybe just sprinting down the block and then trying to gas myself out. But I will say, in terms of realistic sleep advice, definitely aligning yourself with sunlight seems to help humans sort of regulate their circadian rhythm, and then making sure that you consume less light at nighttime. I know this is still something particularly hard for me, and we're still recording this podcast.
I think a lot of people would agree with that as well. So many people are on their phones at night. For me, a lot of things that I do, at least to help me go to sleep, because sometimes I just can't fall asleep, is I'll just grind in my video games until I feel tired, which is bad. I always play on the lowest brightness setting, but it's still like giving that like light into your eyes. Yeah. And that's definitely not the thing I should be doing. I should be like reading or something else. But
I think it's like for sure. I think it's like one of those things where it's like you got to find what works for you most of all. I think most of the health advice out there is definitely widely applicable and stuff, but a lot of it is also just like personal habits and taking a look at what works for you. I think that's both the same way with like YouTube and most of life, is that you have to really try out things and see if they work for you. For me, it seems that like after the however many years I've been alive, it seems that for me, some type of exercise seems to help put my life into alignment the best. And because when I exercise, I get super tired out, so that when I hit the bed, I clonk out.
Right. No, I think that's interesting to mention, because there's like this. I've seen this meme before where people they put together, it's like, oh guys, I just like went outside, I did a bunch of exercising. They're right. Like the people are always advocating like for exercise and whatnot. It's like, oh my gosh, guys, they're right. I feel great. It's like I ate healthy. I didn't eat frozen chicken dinosaur nuggets, and I exercise. I actually feel great, which is so true, because something that I love is taking walks, and I always feel great after a walk. The only issue
for sure
is like I always just say that I never have time. And that's like the biggest thing, is like people will always say that excuse for not exercising or not like making healthy lifestyle choices is they don't have time. And I can totally relate to that. It's like you definitely do have time. Like if I put my phone down and I wasn't like, let's say playing Fire Emblem Heroes, because I play Fire Emblem Heroes every day. If I drop that mobile game, that would be like another half hour. I don't play a half hour a day. Let me like 20. That'd be like another 20 minutes every day that I could dedicate to doing something else, like taking a walk or cooking. That's something that I'm really bad at. Is I rarely cook. I'd love to, because I love cooking. Yeah. I actually do want to talk about that more with you and Emmy sometime.
For sure.
When we do like a group podcast. But something that I love is cooking, but I never get to do it because I never have the time. So I'm always end up eating frozen food. I'm always getting takeout. And it sucks because, those two things are not typically like really healthy, But it's just like that thing is like, it's so convenient because we live in such like that convenience culture sort of thing where it's like, well, I could cook, but that would take a half an hour and then I'd also have to clean it up. Whereas I could just get like a pizza takeout and then I'd just like shove the leftovers in the fridge, but you can't just, only eat pizza or else you'll just freaking die.
That's true. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think for me, again, I'm a very lazy cooker. So the way that I kind of get around eating, trying to eat healthier is that what I'll do is I'll go to the supermarket and buy all the frozen foods. So I'll buy frozen vegetables, which in terms of like buying fresh vegetables, I know that Kurzgesagt or In a Nutshell made a good video on this where it's like normally the vegetables that you buy at your local supermarket aren't necessarily the freshest.
Right, because they've been like out for a while.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if it's GMO or free or anything. Generally speaking, the best option for freshness is frozen because frozen is pretty cheap. Vegetables are incredibly cheap. So you go frozen because those things are freshly frozen at pickup. Like they pick the vegetables and then they immediately freeze it so that when it gets transported. It doesn't, it doesn't have time to age. And then the second best option is to go to your local farmer's market to buy vegetables because those are usually like the cheapest transportation to time to ratio.
Right, yeah. And they're growing close to you as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do is I get a bunch of frozen vegetables. This time I bought a bunch of $1 peas and carrots from my local supermarket. And then I get a bunch of canned tomatoes. And what I do is I have one of those Instant Pot cookers.
Yep.
So you go, you close, you open the Instant Pot lid, you pour all those vegetables in there, and then put enough water so that you can make a stew. Then you close the Instant Pot, put it on high pressure for about 30 minutes or so. And then now I just have cheap stew that I didn't have to do. What I literally did was just open a bunch of packages, put them into a pot, and then put them on high pressure. So that now I have a stew.
And that's not super messy either, because all you have to do is clean the pot and then whatever you eat with.
Right. Yeah. And that's basically how I force feed myself vegetables.
No, I don't think that's bad, because a lot of the time, sometimes good tasting vegetables, or I guess I should say bad ones, they get mixed in with the good ones. Like for me, for example, I despise Brussels sprouts. Well, I guess that's a bad example. Let's say squash, and zucchini's fine, but I hate squash as well.
Yeah.
But when you mix squash with other vegetables, you don't really taste it that much. Right. I love vegetables like green beans. I like broccoli and cauliflower. Peppers are okay. But when they're all mixed together, you don't really they lose a lot of their taste, I guess I should say. They also lose a lot of their nutrients. But, it's not like all of it is gone, so...
From what I've heard, the nutrients actually just go into the stew. So when you cook vegetables, for instance, the vegetables themselves become a little bit less nutritious. And again, I'm no expert or anything. I just want to put that out there. I'm a guy who likes to sleep but cannot sleep.
Well, I would say that's if you eat it in a stew. Like if you're for example, for me, if I'm boiling green beans, I don't drink the boiled green bean water. I just eat the green beans.
Which is all the nutrition is in the boiled green bean water.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to drink boiled green bean water.
Yeah.
It's gonna take
You could
forever.
honestly just take the boiled green bean water, put it into the pot, and then open a bunch of canned tomatoes and then put it in there.
Oh gosh.
What I do is I buy frozen chicken and then frozen vegetables, and that's basically my go-to stew, which is that I throw it all in a pot. And then I close it. I wait 30 minutes. I come back. The Instant Pot pressure has already made it so the chicken falls off the bone. That's
the best, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those small investments that I don't know why. It seems like every Asian household has a Instant Pot cooker.
I think I should actually maybe jump on that trend, because that would actually be a lot better for me. For me at least, when I said I was getting frozen food and take it a lot, but I also like to get fruit. I love fruit. But the bad thing is the fruit goes bad so fast. I bought raspberries just the other day. They were so good. The next day, they were already bad. They were already like mushy and gross.
For
And
sure,
I was like,
yeah.
are we serious? And they're like,
No,
they even started like dripping into the fridge. And I was like, oh, now I got to clean that up. I was like, it's been one day, dude. Seriously? One day?
It's pretty disgusting, yeah.
And I checked the date on it too. It's like, I make sure it's like the right date, but it's just like, they're still just bad. And it's like, I love raspberries, but man, it's like, do I have to buy them and eat them now? And they're kind of expensive, so you don't want to like buy too many.
They are expensive. They're so expensive.
I hate liking raspberries, dude. It's a curse because they're always so expensive, but they're so good.
I love raspberries. And don't get me wrong, I love berries in general. If I had more money, I would definitely buy fruit.
Yeah,
but
fruit is just expensive. It sucks.
Is super expensive. Tomatoes are a fruit, and if you $1 on canned tomatoes is just what I need, and then I'm sobbing in the corner because I can't eat. I sometimes like fork over a little bit of money to buy like fruit. Like one of my friends recently introduced me to a type of apple called Cosmic Crisps, which are a slash variant between a Honey Crisp and I think it might be a Gala apple or something. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit more expensive, or maybe I think it might be a little bit less expensive. Either way, it's a very interesting like blend of these two apples, and I really like it. But again, apples and oranges and all the fruits, especially raspberries, incredibly expensive. So I find myself just spending money on vegetables and chicken and then throwing it in an Instant Pot, waiting for 30 minutes and then eating that.
Yeah, I would say, I think bananas are probably the cheapest fruit.
Oh yeah, for sure. 99 cents a bunch, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
At least around where I live, it's about $1 for a banana bunch.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like 25 cents per banana where I buy them.
Oh, nice.
So that's pretty handy.
But yeah, bananas are also there. I mean, as long as you eat fruits and vegetables, and you're not, constantly putting gunk in your trunk, if you're not putting Grimace into your, you know what I mean? You're not putting the Grimace shake, into your body. Man. I will say the I think the part of living a healthy lifestyle is just spending your money on the right things, and then hopefully those things will pay dividends down the line. For me, I spend my money on vegetables and chicken, and then I get used to I actually don't think that it doesn't taste bad.
Especially if you like give it some spices or whatever, it'll probably taste a little better.
Sure. Salt.
I'll definitely have to try that. The stew strategy.
Yeah.
Because that would definitely be good, especially if it's like all done in the pot and it only takes like a few minutes to throw in.
Yeah.
I could definitely do something like that, and I'm sure that would help me out a lot.
I think like soy sauce is pretty good.
I don't like soy sauce though.
Oh, yeah. I had to grow into soy sauce a little bit. Soy sauce has a lot of umami, savory taste, but if you don't like soy sauce, you can also just add in salt. I've always found out that my vegetable soups taste pretty bland until I add salt, and then I'm like, this actually tastes really good. And then I realized that I haven't been eating enough salt.
Nah, I mean, I think a lot of foods, at least like in American foods, like people salt stuff, but there's already so much salt in it, so it's like,
oh yeah,
why would you salt it more? I like adding pepper to my stuff. I'm a big fan of pepper. And in the past, I used to love, one of my friends actually got me into this back in like middle school. He would put hot sauce in like everything, dude. I'm talking everything. Just literally everything. And like even in his like mac and cheese, I was like, what? Like he'd just like make those microwave mac and cheeses, and he would just pour so much hot sauce, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And he got me to like just put hot sauce in some of my stuff. And it was actually like a good, I don't know if to say lifestyle change, but it helped me try new things. I was like, wow, I realized that I never really ate spicy foods that often. And now he got me into spice. So I'm very grateful to that. I'm not like crazy about it, and I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I'm like, I'll add some hot sauce to this. Why not?
Yeah, I think hot sauce is one of those catch-alls that you can just add to most anything, and it'll just make it, palatable, so to say.
Okay, but now we gotta talk about the Grimace shake, though.
No, I don't want to talk about the Grimace shake.
No, I do want to quickly just talk. Okay,
we'll touch upon it. Yeah.
Well, it's more of just a trend, but just like talking about trends and whatnot on YouTube. I made a video about the Grimace shake. I don't know if you saw it.
A little bit. Yeah, I saw a little bit.
Okay, so while I was making this video, I was just gonna quickly talk about it. But as I was editing it, I was like, you know what? I've been researching so much like YouTube editing and whatnot. Why don't I just make a video where I make fun of like stereotypical like YouTube stuff where it's like, all right guys, it's me, YouTuber. I'm talking in this voice now. Buy my merch in the description below. And I like interrupted every like minute and a half with that stupid voice coming in. And people like were actually like, you know what? As sad as it is, that
this
like those
engaging.
moments in the video, it's actually engaging. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that video is like mostly ironic. I don't want to make content like that. But I do think it was actually kind of fun to make one of those, especially when you like put the twist of irony around it, because I could not imagine doing that type of video all the time, because I put like Vine, I like spam Vine booms, and oh my gosh, guy, and like there's like some, I just like spam like you know like the YouTube Kids editing style where there's just like bruh, and there's like Vine booms every 2 seconds. I did that so much, and I was like, it's kind of funny, but like I did it ironically, so it like kind of worked. But I was like, people do
so
this
bad.
in every video. I'm like, I can't do that. I cannot do that in every video. Maybe I'll throw in a Vine boom here and there to like help out with engagement, which is that was the experiment. I was trying to see like if that actually increased my viewer engagement. And the worst part is that it did. It was up by like 10%.
It literally, I saw the video got a lot of views, which was a bit of like, I guess that's what content is these days.
The trend at least. I think the trend itself got at the views, but I'm really working on watch time because YouTube loves watch time. And like I've been doing like a lot of algorithm study, and like the main 2 things that I realized to like make a good video, or I guess like 3 things, is number 1, this one's the easiest, title and thumbnail. I say easiest, but it's like most known. You have to have a catchy title, have to have a catchy thumbnail. Like an eye-popping thumbnail. 2, it has to be a well-edited, good video. Like, as long as the content is good, then people are going to watch. And then 3, it has to, like, keep viewer retention and watch rate. Like, people have to watch the end of the video. And the longer people stay on YouTube, the more YouTube's going to promote your video. And those are, like, the 3 simplest things. Like, if you can just make a video that does those 3 things, it's going to be popular. Yeah. And that was kind of the experiment with the Grimace video. And it got like 2,500 views, while all my other videos get like 300 on this channel. So it was like a trend, and it followed like around. I don't think the title and thumbnail were like that good. I kind of threw those together. It was also posted at a really bad time, but I was just kind of like throwing it out there as an ironic video. But I kind of wanted to like experiment with that, and I was like, oh my gosh, it sucks because it works.
I think I actually don't think. I guess the way that what I'm trying to say here is that like. I think it's kind of interesting that you're kind of experimenting with your YouTubing style now, because you have I think you have a little bit more of a grasp on the YouTube space, so you can like you're finally at a point like maybe at a high potential point where you can be like, this seems interesting. Maybe I should try to do this and see if it looks good, and then I can learn a couple new things here and do a couple of other things here and stuff. Yeah, I think that's like very proactive of you. Yeah,
I've been really pushing myself like to try new things, because I think I forget where I saw it, but like like people always say step outside of your comfort zone, but I remember it's like sometimes you just have to hear some words again, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. So I'm sure people have always heard that like if you don't change or if you don't step outside of your comfort zone, if you always do the same things over and over again, you're never going to grow and change. And I was like, I knew that, but I heard it again recently, and I was like, you know what? I just realized that like what I've been doing the last few months is that I have just been like sticking with Let's Plays again.
Stagnating
and I was like,
a little bit?
Yeah, because I was going back to the stuff that I did before, like Zeez 2 really got popular, and I was doing like Let's Play videos and whatnot, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is not good. So I'm still like continuing those Let's Plays, but I made an update video. I'm like, I'm dropping the amount that I'm doing each week, and I'm focusing that time into other things. And it kind of sucks because, again, we talked about this in episode 1, how much I love Let's Plays. My heart is so into it, but it's terrible for the YouTube space. And definitely streaming has evolved from Let's Plays, so I want to do more streams, less Let's Plays. And I think I've kind of reached a conclusion in my mind right now that after Tears of the Kingdom in Xenoblade 3, I am done with Let's Plays on my gaming channel. The one exception will be Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem will be one exception on my Fire Emblem channel. But after that, I think I'm done with Let's Plays. I think I have to just like put it behind me. I hate to say that, I really do, but I think I'm gonna put it behind me and completely move over to streaming. Fire Emblem, besides Fire Emblem, that's the one exception, because I have my Fire Emblem channel. I'll do Let's Plays over there. But besides that, I'm trying to like hold myself to that, and like I'm trying to make myself think that now. I'm not gonna like say it's set in stone, but like I want to say that to myself and be like, these are the last 2 big games. They're huge games. They deserve Let's Plays. But after this, I'm going to streaming, because it's just not good. It's not gonna work if I want to continue growing my channels. It's just not gonna work. It's a waste of time. I hate to say it, but it is a waste of time if I want to continue growing, and that sucks. It sucks. But like while I was doing my research, every single bit of research I was doing, like this past week, I was like, I can't do Let's Plays. Every single bit of that information was like, don't do Let's Plays. They obviously didn't say don't do Let's Plays, but it was like, don't do it. And I was like, they're right.
Mr. Beast,
they're right.
Mr. Beast gives you a personal video. Zeez, you need to stop making Let's Plays. And then it just does 50 vine booms and 50 cuts, boom, boom, boom.
I was actually looking at Mr. Beast's advice. Yeah. That's not a lie. Like, because he is, he's a master of YouTube, so.
Yeah, I think Mr. Beast is like, master of YouTube kind of thing. That being said, I think, again, we were talking about this in episode 1, and I think it's definitely like one of those unfortunate things where it's like, the heart is in Let's Plays, right? And for me, I'm still one of those like I hate to say like old folk, but back in my day, I had to pull it. I had to do it to them. Back in my day, or I guess actually still in this present day, I watch a YouTuber by the name of Zoran, and he's a huge Fire Emblem Conquest YouTuber. Yes, I'm aware of them. I still love his content because I guess a part of me is still like a Let's Play guy. That being said, I think in terms of growth and sort of moving those things, you yourself, Zeez, are incredibly good at the Let's Play genre.
Thank you.
And I mean that sincerely, because I really do love I guess I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, so I really love the Fire Emblem videos. You gotta keep doing those for sure. But I think also it's like the conclusion that you've drawn here is also, I think it's probably the for at least for now, the good one to have drawn. And I don't think it's like Let's Plays, like the conclusion that we made in the last podcast. It's not that Let's Plays are going away per se. It's just that they've evolved into streaming. They've evolved into streaming, which again is a little bit sad, because even now, Chugga Conroy is still, when I think about Let's Plays, he's still one of the old giants that still
for sure
can sustain himself because he has such a reputation.
And he's like, I think he's like one of the only ones that really success. There obviously is others, but he's like the probably the first one that comes to your mind when you think about Let's Plays.
The last standing bastion of the Let's Play genre, which I think honestly, Chugga Conroy probably deserves, because he's amazing. Of course, yeah. No, I really love. He has a very nice cozy style to it, and he really loves these games, and you can tell that when he makes these videos. But I think for you to have made that decision, I don't think it was an easy one, and definitely I still think that it's worth experimenting with streaming for sure. I think because I think a lot of the skills that you pick up from Let's Playing translates really well over to streaming. For instance,
they do, for sure, yeah.
It's like a 1-to-1 like transfer, right? Because like Let's Playing is literally me playing a video game and talking to an audience that will see it later. This time it's more of like an active gaming thing where it's like I'm talking and then also interacting with an audience kind of thing. I think you'll notice, and maybe this wasn't the topic of the conversation, but you'll probably notice that a lot of your skills will transfer over really wholesale.
I've done some streams and they definitely do. I think like the audience engagement definitely really helps when it comes to talking about things as well, where it's not just like completely focused on the game. I think that my issue, at least, is it's just, I feel like there are so many like boring moments in the stream, and like when there's downtime, I feel so bad. Like for example, let's say I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. No spoilers or anything, but sometimes you gotta get from one location to another, and sometimes you don't have a warp point. So let's say I have to spend 5 minutes getting somewhere. Well, in a Let's Play, I could cut all that out, but then in a stream, I have to talk over that entire thing, and it's like, well, there's got to be nothing happening for the next 5 minutes, guys, so here we go! And the other big thing is, when it comes to story-related games, is I love being, like, as blind as possible going into story games, but chat will just spoil you.
Yeah,
like,
that is true. That is so very bad fortunate of chat, by the way. That is a really bad thing, because having genuine reactions and to things on stream and live and also off of stream is like one of the things that I really, really love about watching streamers play video games, because like I think the biggest example of this was when you released your Fire Emblem playthrough. I think it might be the biggest one on your Zeez FE channel, which is the one where Dimitri and actually I shouldn't spoil it, but it's just Dimitri's thing. You know what I'm talking about?
That's on the game. That's on the gaming channel, not the Fire Emblem one. But
the gaming channel. Yeah, when Dimitri does the thing and the whole thing happens. The three houses thing happens, and I'm just like, and you were like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, that was so good.
No, because I had no idea. I was actually more confused. I was like, I was so confused because I was just like, what? Really? That?
Like they actually they pulled off some kind of crazy shift in the the way that you view those characters, and that's just so cool to me, I think.
Yeah, no, Three Houses is great, and it's like those are the moments that I want to be blind with. For example, I actually did an Omori playthrough, which I still need to go back to get the other routes. I did the best ending first. But I was playing through Omori, which is a really, really great indie game, very story-driven. And when I was getting to like the finale, I noticed people that were dropping like some not-so-subtle hints. And they didn't like spoil anything like super major, but they were like, look out for this. Or people kept making jokes about like stairs, which if you're an Omori fan, you get it, right? But I didn't get it at the time. And I was not like, I didn't appreciate that, because it's like, well, now I know something related to stairs is going to happen, and eventually when I found out, I was like a little less shocked than I would have been, because I was expecting something to happen with stairs, and that kind of sucked. What I did for the finale of Omori is I just stopped looking at chat. It sucked. I had to stop looking because I was so scared of getting spoiled. For like the last like hour and a half, I just didn't look at chat.
That's actually, I think that's actually fine, because when you're gearing up to something, that might be big, I think like it's one of those things where you can just be like telling chat, you can just tell them, hey, I have to kind of, like set the boundaries for myself a little bit, sort of saying like, hey guys, I don't want to get spoiled, so I'm just going to turn off chat for a little bit. And then you go through the thing, and then you can, after the reveal and stuff, you can be like, oh my God, that was crazy.
Oh yeah, after I beat Omori, I sat down and talked with people in the chat for a whole hour. Like, I was just sitting at the title screen and talking about it for a whole hour. It was crazy. Yeah. It was super fun.
I hate to interrupt you on this, and this is so bad of me in terms of podcast etiquette. We're going back to the etiquette. But the second best reaction that I remember from you specifically is the Pokemon Arceus one. That was so funny. One of the final fights.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure if we can do spoilers here, because I don't want to spoil anybody. But the final fight, when it goes to like the next like.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you're just like, you hear
it's finally over. You hear the guitar,
and you're like,
That was so hype, dude. Oh my gosh. See, that's the stuff that I live and breathe for. Those are the moments in Let's Plays that are like, this is it. This is what I love. Like, they're so, because that's the, I love it. But the thing is, like,
great game design. That was so cool. Good job on Game Freak there. You guys pulled it off. Holy.
Legends Arceus is still the best Pokemon game on Switch. I like Scarlet and Violet. I'm one of the Scarlet and Violet likers, but Legends Arceus, best Pokemon game on Switch. I'm sorry. But like going back to like the streaming and spoiling and whatnot, like with Tears of the Kingdom, for example, it's a little like more risky because so many people play that game in a different way. And so, like, let's say, for example, I went off to, like, the left side, the top left side of the map first, but what if somebody else went down to the bottom right side? They could be like, oh, this is what I did, Zeez, and it's like, it's so cool to engage with you, but I don't want to know what's down there. And that sucks because it's like they want to engage with the streamers somehow, but I hate being spoiled, so I'd be like, shut up, don't tell me. And then like so many people would be like, oh, I did this, and it's like, stop, don't tell me. And then it's like, oh man, I think, or it's just like people could be like, oh man, I just beat the game, wait till you see this. And it's like, I swear if one person says like, this is what happens at the end, I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah.
And like it just sucks. It just sucks. And there have been a few people that have given me like some like low key, like low spoiler levels. Like someone was like, oh, you should do this to get to this place. And I was like, I could have figured that out on my own, but now I know how to get there. I would have much rather preferred how to get there myself.
For sure.
But luckily I haven't been spoiled on anything in the game that's like plot. I've only been spoiled on like a couple gameplay things because people in the comments are just like, they don't think that they're spoiling. But for me, like when I do a Let's Play, I obviously like block all the stuff on like social media. I don't look at it, and I'm like, I want to focus right on this thing, and I can go in with like full, complete blindness, and that's like the most fun to me. But streaming, you like run that risk of getting spoiled. And the other bad thing about streaming, I think there's two major cons. I guess besides the lack of editing, I already forgot what it was. Oh, right, the quality, the video quality. So like my internet cannot go like super good. The max bitrate I think I can run a video at and still have it be stable at 1080p 60 fps is like 5,000 bitrate, I think, and like that's not stellar. I don't think it's even that. I think it's 4,000. Yeah, it's 4,000. And you would like for a regular video, for example, I record at 10 times that amount. Okay, not 10 times. I do now because I want to make like my videos super high quality, but I used to do it like at 20,000 or something. So that's like 4 times the amount of bitrate. So when I stream, the videos, their quality just looks like so nasty, which is why I always preferred Let's Plays, because the quality would be so nice, like, you'd be so crisp. Then you look at the stream, and then you can like see those little squares, like like whenever there's a lot of movement, you see those squares of like bits and whatnot. Like, oh, I hate that so much. So I thought like, oh, here's what I can do. I'll stream a game, unlist it after it's finished, and then upload it later. Like I thought maybe I could do that, but then people wouldn't be able to see the live chat replay unless I have it on the screen. And then like the original stream wouldn't get any more views or whatever. It's a little awkward, I guess. And I'm kind of in like that spot where I'm lost. And I realized through my research is that people don't care. I'm the only one that cares. Is people are like mostly watching live streams on their phones, right? And there's thousands of other YouTube channels to pick from to like watch a video. And like people just don't care that much, as much as I do. And I realized that like recently, and it kind of sucks because it's like I love having high quality videos and I would love to have high quality streams, but I can't due to internet restrictions. But like nobody else cares, and I've come to realize that, and it's kind of sad a little bit because like when I view back those streams, for example, this is actually a bit of a bad example, but in my Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Let's Play, I go back and watch like the final episode, and I accidentally record the game audio twice over the entire stream, and nobody told me. I don't know how nobody noticed, but it sounds awful. It sounds so bad. You can go watch the video now if you want to. It sounds like garbage, but nobody in the chat told me. And I was like, everybody I talked to, like my sister, my friends who were watching at the time, they're like, I didn't notice anything. And I was like, how? It's so bad. It's so noticeable. And it makes me so mad because like that was the finale, dude. I recorded the finale of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I did like, and it was just the audio was just garbage, and it's like I can't go back and fix it. If I did a Let's Play, it would have been perfect. And like the video quality, even when I look at it, it's like it kind of has like those bits on it, and it's like, I wanted my first blind playthrough of Scarlet and Violet to like look good, but I look at that final episode and I just get mad.
Madge. I think
like that's the stuff I want to avoid, but it's just like it's the internet restriction with the bit rate, and it's like that's where I feel trapped right now. It's like I want to move over to streaming, like just completely.
Yeah, wholesale.
But the lack of editing and the lack of quality are like the two biggest like pros that I'm like I can't do it. But then that was what was doing it, and obviously I've already started a Tears of the Kingdom and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Let's Play, so I'm gonna finish those two out, and I think I might finish like Kirby and the Forgotten Land since I'm like 90% done with the game. But other than that, I think I just gotta go for streams.
I think it's I don't think it's one of the things that you have to like completely force yourself to shut yourself out of. I do think, however, that trying streaming out would be, I think, a good venture to at least give it a shot. And then also, because for sure, there's definitely going to be a lot of skills that you've learned from Let's Playing for so long, by the way. You've out of, I think, in our entire friend group has put in more reps into, video content creation, which I think is something that I have a lot of confidence in you to have. When it comes to streams, however, it's definitely like a different beast. I think like you highlighted a lot of the problems that comes from like moving over to it, which is kind of funny because whenever you were talking about like I really hated that the video quality is so bad. My internet is actually really bad also. So when I watch videos, I actually go to the little like cog wheel in the Twitch thing,
right?
And then I click on it, and then I move the what is it? I moved the quality from 720p to 360p.
You watch at 360?
Yeah,
wow.
This is so bad of me because, well, actually, it's not too bad. I listen at 360p because most of the things I watch on Twitch, I have a friend who streams Dungeons and Dragons playthroughs, and they just started, so they only have like 6 viewers and stuff.
Right.
And I'm one of the 6. But when I listen to those things, I'm mostly listening for audio anyway.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think for streaming, it's also like you listen to your streamer when you're like in the background. So long as your audio is pretty good, and you're able to stream at like a pretty decent rate. You're able to stream at like 1080p, which is better than my friend who can only make like 720p work for them.
Yeah. No, I think if I drop down to 720, I
will literally
increase
like
the bit
cry.
rate. But it's like it feels so bad for like the preservation of like said quality, and it feels like I'm not doing the game's justice, I guess, is what I kind of feel like. But you're totally right, is that I think most people watch like live streams at 480 on their phone.
Yeah, I do that because like my internet is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes there's outages, and that's not the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I've had some internet issues too. I don't think mine's as bad as yours, but it's I think it's mid. I think mine's pretty mid.
It's mid. It's as mid as the I keep wanting to try to say Grimace shake. The point is that I listen to Twitch. I watch Twitch at 360p, and that just so happens to work for me. Every single Twitch stream that I've watched is at 360p. So yeah, I don't think I think it's just. Yeah, I think it's maybe the Let's Player in you that's like saying, it needs to be at like super high quality, which I also completely understand that sentiment. Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing is also just like all the top dogs of streaming, they've all got like 1080p, 60 FPS, completely clean streams. So do people stream in 4K? I don't think they do. They have like those really nice quality streams that like they never have any like internet issues, and it's like, man, I wish, but I live in an apartment, not a house. You can only get so good of internet.
Yeah, I don't think. There's a reason why there's kind of a meta around streaming in terms of the bitrate quality. And I think 1080p is probably the best that you should aim for, because no one is going to stream at 2K or 4K unless you're like incredibly rich and you can afford to do that. Mr. Beast. What's up, guys? I hope you guys have like a download speed of 300 because we're about to stream in 4K and then everyone watches it in like 480p anyway. So I think the thing that we've just stumbled upon is that 720p or 1080p both will work fine so long as you get started and people watch it. I think. And I think that's just the sacrifice
and thing that I have to accept is just like people don't care as much about like the quality. They just like want to see the game and then move on to something else.
I think they also want to see the streamer as well. I mean, right. You have some pretty.
I'm just talking about specifically when it comes to like the quality.
Yeah,
times have changed and I have to change with them is kind of the thing. Or else I'll get left behind. That's basically like what I've just like come to realize. And it's like I always knew that, right? It's like even when I started Let's Plays, I kind of always knew that. And I at least when I first started YouTube, I wasn't in a position to stream. So Let's Plays were like my only choice. But now that I've moved out, I do have like the option of streaming versus recording. But like back in the day, I didn't have this problem because I couldn't stream. I could only do Let's Plays. That was the only thing that I could do.
I think it's I
still lived with my family at the time, and I couldn't do streams.
Yeah. I think for you specifically, it's been one of the small... I think maybe this is not the right words for it, but I think it's like one of the small, like, maybe the small happy issues that you have now, which is like, I have a problem now, which is that my stream isn't like 2K, 4K kind of scenario. It's like, I'm kind of grateful that this is like, I'm kind of grateful that we're at a place now that this is the thing that we can worry about. Instead of course.
No, you bring up like a really good thing. Mm-hmm. You really do. Because like, obviously I know that I am very fortunate to be in the position that I am. Mm-hmm. But like, I never stop striving, to like improve and have more stuff. I guess that sounds like mega greedy or whatever. But like, people have dreams and they want those dreams to be fulfilled and succeeded. And then like they get a new dream. And like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. It's just to like always improve, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like I just have so much that I want to do in life, and I also just love content creation. And I think like, at least for now, I'm in a spot where I can like keep it going, and I'm definitely like really grateful for that. And like all these things that I'm talking about are obviously like, you could just say like first world problems where actual people are struggling, but I get that, and that's why like the more I improve, the more that I can actually do stuff. I was actually talking to this a little bit with Racecar 627, where I'd like to do like charity streams and whatnot in the future.
Racecar 627. I'm microscopic beginner now. Okay.
Yep. Or like, I could do like charity streams. I could, like for example, Beast Philanthropy, which is like what Mr. Beast does. He likes helping out people in need. And like, I would love to do that kind of stuff as well. Like that's like that kind of stuff that I want at my YouTube end game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just like, that's only one avenue that I want to pursue. There's like so many other things, and that's
Zeez Philanthropy.
I don't know about that, but like there's so many things that I want to do on YouTube, and it kind of sucks that like a lot of the stuff that I want to do doesn't really work in the YouTube space, or like I'm putting my resources where they shouldn't be, putting too many eggs in one basket, or perhaps in too many baskets and then being spread thin with the amount of channels that I have. It's just a little confusing, I guess. But I do want to be able to, actually make more positive impacts through the things that I do. But anyway, we've talked a lot about YouTube.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think to end off that segment, I think it's like one of the things where it's like, definitely allocating your resources properly. Definitely looking into new avenues of content creation. I think for someone like you, the appreciation of content creation comes from the fact that there are so many ways to generate it. There's so many different like forums and stuff. This Grimace shake phenomenon is just one of the few chaotic like ways that it's just manifested, and that's like that is what it means to be a content creator. In the constant shifting place, there's a couple of few like basic skills that will always stay the same. The principles will stay there, which is that people will watch you for you, so long as you're not a jerk. People will watch you for your kindness and the kind of the personality that you have. I think Racecar 627 also said it similarly, which is just like, I think this community is like, a really nice one. And so far, for you and your content creation, I think it is definitely, man, I'm going on a tangent here.
You're good. We've both been doing it.
I think for you, it's like being able to experiment, and it's like you have this tool, and now you have different ways of using the tool, kind of thing. It's like an exploration of how to use your skills, kind of thing.
Right.
It's like for me, it's like whenever I look at a Fire Emblem unit, and I just realize that it has a different application and a different unit like use case and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can dance my archer to get over to this side of the map, and maybe I can clear it faster this way. And then you realize that actually doesn't work because there's a whole bunch of armored units over there, and that's not going to cut it. So now this time I got to put my mage unit over there, but the armor units just killed the mage unit. Okay, we're just going to have to put the entire team over there.
The Fire Emblem metaphors.
Oh, I love gaming metaphors. We could go on about Fire Emblem gaming metaphors for sure.
Yeah, I would too if it wouldn't isolate like 80% of the viewers.
That's true. I'm so sorry, Z's viewer base.
No, you're good. I did want to kind of go back to the topic that we were talking about earlier. I liked what you brought up when you were talking about like getting outside of the house, getting into different locations and whatnot. I actually in Boy Scouts, I used to talk to this psychologist. He was one of our troop leaders, and he would tell us like a lot about like educational psychology. And I thought one of the most interesting things, which I feel like I should be doing a lot more now, is that you tend to have a better memory when you study in different locations as opposed to studying only in one location. For example, if I were to like study in my room, study outside, study in the library, and then like study in the cafeteria, let's say if I was like at a school, those 4 places would like automatically be so much better for like memorizing and the psychology like behind like studying and whatnot, because you're in a different room when you're taking a test, right? You're not in your bedroom, whatever. So it's really good to get out and study in different locations. Yeah. And I feel like that probably applies to a lot of different things. Like what you were saying is getting outside of the house is where you can separate different aspects of your life. For example, I think I was talking to us about the race car 627 in the last episode, where I spend like 80% of my time, 95% of my time in my bedroom. I don't have like a separate living space for like where I do, you know, my personal stuff versus like doing YouTube work stuff. And I really feel like that would be good for me to have. Obviously, I can't really have that in an apartment unless I slept in the living room. But some places got to store all the merch.
Oh, some place has to.
But it's just like, I like that you brought that up because it made me think about that. And
I think it's neat. It's one of those things that I've learned through intense trial and error, and it's mostly error. Because it's mostly error, and then me trying to trial it again, and it still errors out. I guess the way that I could best explain it, or to best express it, is that like I have literally tried to do stuff at home, and 9 times, maybe 100% of the time, I've got like 0% productivity value. And the moment that I step outside of the home and go to like the library and start working at the library, it's like 100%. Like I'm completely working with like all of my energy and stuff. Like I have every resource on me. You know, everything's working properly. And
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I've realized that through countless amounts of error that if I don't get out of the house, nothing gets done.
Yeah, I've been trying to get myself, like I do still take walks, and I love walks, but I've been trying to get myself to like move into different spaces. I've been trying to like reconnect with, you know, lots of different people, or like form new connections, because obviously that's how you grow. And like I don't think I mentioned this on screen before, unless I have, but a good excuse for me starting this podcast was to talk to you, the Race Car 67, and Emmy, because you guys are like 3 of my closest friends. And like we talk like here and there, but we don't talk like I feel enough as we should. Sure. And like doing these podcasts are like a bit of an excuse, is like, well, I'm making content, but at the same time, I can also talk to some of my close friends, and like I want to keep it going because I just think it's really fun.
I think that's very kind of you, Zeez. I also, you know, I value our friendship a lot. I think getting to talk to you sometimes, it's like you have so many insights on like things that I think maybe the normal person wouldn't see. Because like content creation is one of those things where it's like, I think what I was trying to say earlier is that you have like a certain amount of skill in the content creation space now, Zeez, that you now have found like different ways to express that kind of content creation, you know? I was looking into it a little bit since I had a little bit of free time, but I was feeling pretty like unmotivated one day. And, you know, this is maybe a bad example for a gaming or anime based audience or cartoon based audience, but there's a Shaolin monk that was talking about that the way of kung fu is the way of life, so to say, and that no one will ever like it's about being able to express yourself, right, through your art. I think that's like,
oh, I see.
I think that's like one of the ways that I'm starting to like realize that in my life, that, you know, the things that I love to do, and you know, the things that really bring me joy through like expression. Like I like making content as well. I just haven't had a lot of time to do it, and you know, being able to recover mentally and stuff. That's a huge thing in my mind. I think for you, it's like you're at a point in your content creation career where you're able to, you have enough skill so that you're high enough on the spectrum that you can look down and start to like express the flow of your content creation in certain ways and be able to like make different shapes out of it, kind of thing. I'm not sure if that made completely any sense, but
no, like, I think I kind of get what you're trying to say. I think what you're just trying to basically say is experience, and using that experience, I can like apply it to different pathways, I guess.
The expression of your joy, which is like, oh yeah, this Grimace shake thing came out. All right, let me play around with this a little bit. let me dabble. Let me dabble a little bit, and then you see Zeez like writhing around on the ground with the Grimace shake coming out. I have to ask, this is a horrible thing because this whole podcast has just been occasionally Grimace shake. Does it taste good? I mean, is there hype around it? Is it actually good?
I never tried it. I didn't try it in my video. I just talked about it.
Oh my god.
I might try it. I mean, I shouldn't, because then I'd be supporting McDonald's, and I'd be part of the meme.
Right.
I don't know if I want to continue that cycle, but whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. It's the whole point of trends that exist. But I like that what you're saying is like when you're talking about, you know, being in like the content sphere, whatever, and having like the experience. But I think like that's true for everybody, right?
Yeah.
That's why like I like talking to you, Emmy, Racecar67, because you all have like different insights on like the stuff that you've been doing. Like obviously, it's not. I've let people know that I dropped out of college, but you three stuck with it, right? And that's something that I've always like low key kind of been like kicking myself for. I was like, man, I really wish I had a better education. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, sticking with people who are smart, I guess. I don't know. I feel like whenever I talk to you three, I feel like I really shouldn't be kicking myself as much as I haven't, because obviously I pursued a different path than you three by not continuing with college. And over time, I've started to like regret it a little less, because, you know, I always did value like intelligence and whatnot. Yeah. And like of the four of you, I would say that like strictly when it comes to academic intelligence, I'm probably the stupidest. But it's not as if I can't like hold conversations with you all. And I think it's so fascinating whenever like especially when I talk to Emmy, because she's like the smartest person I know. When she goes deep into like programming. And I feel like I almost have like, because you three are so intelligent, I feel like I'm almost just absorbing knowledge from you guys that you have learned different aspects of your life. And I think that's just true for every connection you make, is like every connection you make outside of just like obvious friendship, of course, because I value the friendship with all three of you. But at the same time, you guys are always teaching me new things. Whenever we talk, we like just share our experiences with each other and we learn things from each other. And I think that's so neat, because it kind of helps me overcome that like insecurity. It was like where I always felt that I was never really that intelligent. But when I talk to smart people, I feel like I am at least like absorbing some of the knowledge that they have. And I start to regret it a little less. Like maybe I don't have like a diploma on paper, but I still feel like I'm getting some of those experiences through you guys. And that I may be, again, a bit of a tangent there.
No, I think it's awfully sweet. You're able to sort of express that kind of, you know, feeling of, you know, the wonderful friendship that we all have, which is that it's weathered like so many years and we've all been able to learn things from each other. I think there's like kind of a beautiful relationship to it all, where we're all able to pick up insights from each other. And I think here's the thing that I've actually learned from, you know, my life, so to say. I've been through a lot in the last year or so. I went through a lot of, you know, mental things, a lot of loss recently. It was incredibly hard. But what I learned at the end of it was that I think, at least for me, in terms of my values and principles, the things that I value the most, or at least the things that matter the most, are that the people that you're with are kind, and that they that you matter to them and they matter to you, that kind of thing. I think those are the two things that I've learned, because it doesn't matter how much you've done, or how powerful you are, or how strong you are, or how smart you are, kind of thing. What matters,
if you could beat Goku.
Or if you could beat Goku. Or if you ate the Grimace shake. I think it's like the thing that matters most about having good quality relationships and good friends is are these people kind? Do they care? And if they do, then they are worth something and they matter. That is the thing that I've learned, because while I was going through, I guess I did stick with it in college. While I was going through all of that, I had a lot of like insecurities about like, it's similar to you, where it's like imposter syndrome. Like, do I really deserve to be here? I was really worried about not being smart enough. I think similarly to you.
I see.
And at the end of it all,
especially being so close to somebody like Emmy.
Yeah, oh, for sure. She can be a lot
that
sometimes.
Definitely didn't help.
But I think it's one of those things where it's like, at the end of it all, I've realized that, the things that mattered to the people that I cared about was the fact that I was a kind person. And knowing that after the fact, after going through all of the things that I've been through, is a bit heartwarming. It's a little bit somber as well.
Right.
But it's, I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that I care most about the personalities of the people, less than I do
the people and the
raw skills
friendship.
Or the raw power that they exert.
Right, and I think that's very mature outlook.
Yeah,
and something that something that I've also been like trying to learn as well. Is like I've always been insecure about how like what value I bring to the table. Is like, oh man, if I'm not smart enough, my friends are not going to want to hang out with me or whatever. And it's like, if I don't bring enough value, they're just gonna not be interested. But like obviously that's kind of toxic.
It is a little toxic, I think. I think it might just be the society we live in, perhaps. The environment that we're in might have like subtly conditioned us to think that, we have no value outside of having some kind of academic significance. But in the grand scheme of things, I really do think that the most important thing is kindness.
For sure.
That if you're a good person, then it doesn't matter whether or not you are like the smartest person in the world. What matters to me is that, are you doing all right? Are you eating? Are you playing video games? You want to play video games together sometime? That's the most important thing to me. And I guess it's like it kind of goes into this thing, maybe this running joke, because amongst our friend group, like they keep calling me the anime protagonist.
That joke.
It kind of sounds like a very like anime protagonist thing, where it's like the only thing
that's
matters.
That's like the funny. That's like the all my friends tell me I look like Joker from Persona 5 meme.
I actually look like Joker from Persona 5.
All my friends tell me I look like Joker from Persona 5.
I'm so sorry.
That
derailed the conversation totally. What I was trying to say, is that kindness is the most important thing. That you could be the smartest person in the world, but I wouldn't want to hang out with you if you weren't kind. If you aren't good, if you aren't a good person, then it's like, then it doesn't matter, because I don't want to be hurt all the time.
Yeah, at least with us four, like at least when I'm saying us four, I'm talking about the three people I've had on the podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For those listening, of course, and like I just like we've all bring something different to the table, and like another like thing that I want to do like with YouTube is I can be an outlet for like you guys, I guess, is what I feel like, because like I have since I have like a bit of an audience, if you guys ever wanted to like talk about something interesting that you feel like not enough people know about, or if you ever wanted to like share things that you've learned with your experiences, like I can be that person to like help you get that out there. And I think that's like a bit interesting, is where it's like, wow, this is something that I can do. I can make people's voices heard through my content, especially those of like my closest friends. And I was like, I realized that is something that, at least within the friends that we have, is like something that I can do really well
that nobody else can do, because we don't have the kind of audience that you do.
Right, and it makes me like, whenever I felt that insecurity, is like, because for example, in my senior year, I didn't get accepted to any colleges besides like community colleges, and I felt awful. Because
for sure.
I also this might be a little personal, but I didn't know about college applications until the early applications were already done with.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know we were supposed to be doing them because nobody told me. My parents had no idea about it. My sibling had no idea about it. She already been through it, but she didn't go to college, so she didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my friends, at least, I didn't really talk too much about like education with them. We always just talked about like video games and whatnot. So that topic never was brought up. And when it happened, I was like, why am I being left behind? Why do I not know about this?
Yeah.
And it made me feel really bad. And I lost like a lot of opportunities through that because I was so late and I had like so less prep time and resources, where it's like everybody else was like, yeah, this is what we were preparing for like ever since last year. But nobody had told me about it.
I feel that way too, actually. I also want to put that out there, like put my rocks in the ring, so to say. I didn't know until like the last day that I had to do those things, and I was like, oh crap. I have to do those things. And then I had to go and do those things, I think it's like, it is definitely that kind of feeling of like, sort of that, kind of sadness of missing out. A little bit of that FOMO feeling for sure. But also it's just like, sometimes like, it can feel like the worst thing in the world to not be told, about, where you were supposed to be or what to do. And I suffer from that a lot as well. Where it's just like, I kind of look back and I'm like, I did miss out on a lot of things because nobody told me that I had to do these things. And I don't necessarily think that's like any of our faults particularly.
No.
It's just sometimes things slip through, yeah.
I think one big moment that I don't think I've ever actually talked to you about this, but it was at the banquet for a club that we were in.
No,
I'm not going to say which, but it was this big banquet, and this was probably one of the most embarrassing things that I've ever had to go through. And pretty much what we did is we all went up in a line at this banquet, and every single student, it was like the end of our senior year, we all went up in a line, and every single student was like, hi, this is where I'm going to college. This is what I have accomplished.
I'm gonna do this,
and I'm gonna do this, and everybody clapped for them. And slow, and like us two were like near the back of the line, and it kept slowly getting closer and closer to me. And I was like, "Hi, everybody. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't get accepted to any colleges, and I just didn't know what to say. So all I said was, "Hi, I'm me. This is what I did in this club." And I hope to do something like this in the future, because that's all I could say.
Yeah.
I didn't get accepted, and I felt so embarrassed because like everybody was just kind of like, oh, so what's this guy? Huh? He didn't do anything. He's not getting in. He didn't get into any colleges. Why do we care about him? I felt so embarrassed because you have like these 20 plus people. They're all like going to all these different colleges, getting all these different scholarships, and I had none of that. And I was so embarrassed. And then you came up. And I'm not like share what you said, but like the things that you said, like helped me feel like I wasn't alone, I guess, and it really did. I've never told you that, but I felt so much better that like there was at least one other person that was like not feeling like they were like uber confident, like yeah, this is what I'm gonna do in life. I'm gonna do this, and you felt like you also had like a bit of shaky confidence there, and I know maybe like that made you feel embarrassed. I don't know if you did. But I felt like so comfortable knowing that there was another person of like the 30 plus people that were there that like was in a very like I guess like a somewhat similar situation to me. Obviously you did go on to like college and study education, but like you were like in that sort of like a same mental I guess boat, and I felt like to have that like person there at the same time really helped me like feel more comfortable with myself, I guess.
I think it's like one of those things where it's like, and again, I think that whole experience was like, oh God, that was like so horrible. Like looking back on it now, it's one of those things again that throughout my life, it's the, I think it's like learning how to, express exactly what I'm feeling and trying to be honest with myself. I'm also, I definitely for sure at the time I think at the time I was definitely feeling very, very shaky about it all, because there's a huge amount of uncertainty in any of those huge life changes, especially like when you like, I think maybe in your case where it's like also when you choose to leave a job that is like somewhat semi-stable to go and jump off on a YouTube content journey. That is like whenever you go through a huge change in your life, it's hard. And I think, also, looking back on my experience, going through academia, I still really hated it because like I had to burn myself out I had to burn myself to the absolute, like the core of my being.
Just to keep up with like
everybody else. And even then, like there were people that, knew way more than I did. And for sure, I definitely don't have that kind of confidence in terms of that academia stuff. That being said,
Right.
I also don't think that it's something that, we should beat ourselves up for.
Of course not. It was just like in the moment it feels bad, but like as I've grown, I feel, maybe you could argue that, people say, oh, you're not striving as hard, so you've given up, or like part of you has given up, and now you're just accepting your mediocrity or whatever. Some people would say that, but I don't think that's necessarily entirely true. It's like it's just because other things are valued more than that.
Right. It's also a weird thing. Because looking back on it now, so I listened to the last podcast that you guys ran, and it was a really good one. I kept getting clowned on, but that was really fun. Thank you, Microscopic Beginner. That being said, Racecar 627 really did touch upon something that I am starting to really realize the whole extent of it, and it's starting to really come over the mountain and into view, is the rise of AI in academic education.
Yeah, we talked about that.
When Racecar 627 and the rest of our friend group left academia, this thing like came over the mountain, and essentially like now it's like dominating the entire like academic workspace. And like,
yeah, you guys got out like right before the storm,
which is like, it's like, yes, we got out before the storm, but also, I mean, how useful would it have been to be able to have some like kind of, AI to like fact check or like look, like have something to bounce ideas off of that was, fairly good at what it does.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like kind of me, I'm like kind of like rats. I again missed something. That being said,
you could argue that because I know for us in high school, we were just starting to get like computers in classrooms. That was like a very new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, like I know just like a few years above us at least, they didn't really have computers all the time.
Yeah.
They just like keep introducing like all these new things, especially like it's just changing at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
And like it just makes you think like, what about 10 years from now? What is like the education system going to introduce next time or whatever?
Yeah. One of the things that that a lot of people were talking about was this idea that, if AI exists, then like and like the internet exists, at some point like raw crystallized knowledge might not actually mean as much anymore. It's more like maybe this is
implementing said knowledge.
Yeah, it's more like how you can use the knowledge instead of being able to remember the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So
a big thing with the internet helps is like,
yeah,
that's why a lot of people are just thinking that they just say college isn't worth it because how much information alone is just accessible online. Like,
on the
sure,
internet,
maybe it'll be a lot harder to like access said information, or maybe it'll be a lot harder to absorb and actually like understand said information. But a lot of it is out there, right?
Oh yeah, I think like you could probably like replicate anything that I've done if you just like have links to all like the resources that you need to look at, and then like have it in like one Google Doc, and then just like have a timeline, say go through these ones first, then go through these ones second, because you need these ones in front in order to look at the stuff that's second, and then look at the stuff that happens third. It's like,
right, because a lot of college itself is just self-study.
You could absolutely, I think you could totally replicate it, because the internet literally has all the knowledge. It's the knowledge base. And also the fact that, the fact that AI exists now is like, it's kind of jarring, because now it's like putting a lot of questions into whether or not you need to, educate yourself on certain things that, AI are going to be doing as well. Which is like, this is a whole thing, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a whole can of worms.
I don't know what that's gonna look like. The future is a little bit of a thing, but just like Racecar 627 said, it's better for now to like hope on the positive side. I think that
Right.
because you and me and most everybody so far, we value human created content, which is something that cannot be replaced. And that is also something that is very strong about your position, is that you cannot be replaced, at least very easily for now.
I mean, maybe like when it comes to certain jobs, if it's like a factory job, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, at least like when we're talking about like entertainment industry, like you don't see hardly anybody besides like people wanting to make a quick buck
using
supporting
the AI. Yeah.
Right. It's like they either want the easy way out, or like companies are like, oh, let's just do AI this. But it's like every time you do that, you are sacrificing your integrity.
Yeah.
And less people are going to be interested. And I think in the long term, people are just not going to be interested anymore.
Yeah. I think it's
the AI content.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like really like a new fad, like a very new thing. Mm-hmm. But like people do, like you said, like what Racecar says, people value those like human created things a lot more than this AI whatever. They're definitely
gonna have to rethink how, you know, the whole college thing works. So I wouldn't hold out too much hope, or like I wouldn't beat yourself up too much yet, because I'm not really sure how much it's gonna matter actually in a couple, maybe 20 years or so. A lot of things are definitely, something is changing. I don't know what it is, but something like the gears have started to move under the surface.
For sure. And things are always changing. Yeah.
And also for now, because like I think this is the thing that I've also appreciated a lot about you, is that you chose to go and pursue your passion, which is something that is like you've chosen to pursue something that is like the purest expression of your emotional form, which is like maybe that's a little bit anime, but the point is that like is that like the way that you express yourself in your videos and your content creation is you. Like it's like the expression of how much you feel towards like the Owl House ending, or like how much that's meant to you, right? It's like these things meant a lot to me, and I'm expressing to all of my audience now that I have been profoundly impacted by these things happening to me. And your audience is like picking up on that, and they're like, we want to engage in this kind of feeling, because like these were amazing shows that some of it, you know, got shafted by, you know, a huge like Disney, but we feel a lot for these shows because these shows made us feel something. And now this person on the internet has made us feel something, kind of thing. And
oh yeah, for sure. It's like that connection sort of thing, and like relatability.
Yeah.
And a part of the reason why like I'm really grateful to like people who kind of, or at least can kind of see that, is that it's not maybe like my tone or whatever is exaggerated, but like everything in like my videos is not really, I guess you should say, like I obviously do like maybe hype it up a bit, but it's still like how I feel.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, people could be like, oh, you're just hyping this up. It's like, sorry, I'm just a person who gets excited really easily. I like things. What can I say? I enjoy most things in the world.
Yeah.
I get hyped for things. It's in my blood. I get excited for things. And it's just like, I feel like some people might think that's disingenuous or whatever. And it makes me like, another thing is like, I'm also a little bit scared of is like, you know, people always talk about like content creators that always want to show, like the best sides of themselves, right? And like, you know, that's true. Like there are probably some things that I would rather like not put out there. Like I don't want to put like some of the things, like for example, I like being like more private about like my life and like where I live. But there are like some things that like I've done in life that I'm not proud of. Obviously not like anything bad. I'm not like a criminal or anything. Yeah. But like, it's just like that's the stuff you don't really want to share. But it's just like, I fear, I've always talked about like one of my biggest fears of, I think any creator to an extent is like terrified of being canceled or like having like false allegations against them, because that can destroy you like that.
Right.
And it's like, I haven't made any enemies or anything. I think I'm a generally, at least I like to think I'm a good person at least.
Yeah, you're a good person.
But it's like, how is anybody on the other side of the screen supposed to believe that, besides the fact that I just say that I'm a good person, right? And like that's the thing that like always really scares me, because like for all the people watching, I could be like going out in the middle of the night and murdering people, Like, obviously
that's a little bit harsh.
No, that's
but
that's
I kind of get it.
Right?
I kind of get it.
But that's the thing, is that you can never know. And I'm hoping that like through my content I can just be like, yeah, this is like me, I guess. But it's just one of those big things where I actually like kind of saw reflections. I actually watched Oshi no Ko recently. It was really good. I plan to make a video on it recently. Yeah. But there is
that one is deep.
There's an episodes like I think 5 and 6 or either 6 or 7. There's like this episode in the show where they like talk about like an actor basically getting canceled for one small thing and like destroying this character for it, like ripping her apart. And like I was like, oh my gosh, that's my greatest fear right there, is because you make one little mistake and then like everybody blows it up out of proportion. And I want to talk about that video or like those 2 episodes so badly because I have so much to say on it. I'll leave that for a different time, but that's like my greatest fear. And like the way the internet reacts to things is so crazy because like I could do, like, let's say I do like one small bad thing, right? And then it could be like, oh, this guy's content was never good. He's always been a bad person. When he said this specific thing, this is what he meant. When he said he liked Bellows, he loves people who kill people.
Stuff
like that. It's like when he says he likes this villain, that means he agrees with everything this villain does, or just like stuff like that.
That is like kryptonite to a content creator's like, audience and community.
That's like my greatest fear.
That is for sure like one of the things, and I think it's also important to have a healthy fear of that kind of thing. For sure, it's like 2 things are relevant here. I think the first is that sometimes cancel culture goes way too hard, and that some people are just people. Like they do make mistakes, and they for sure like sometimes it's like I do think that sometimes cancel culture can go way too hard on
and I
people
think,
who are just human. There's definitely people who deserve a certain amount of it for sure.
I wouldn't say cancel. I think there's a difference between cancel culture and like genuine criminal activities. Like obviously, I'm not talking about like criminal activities.
We don't condone
obviously
any
criminals
of that.
who have done crimes.
But
need to be locked up and face punishment over. But I'm talking specifically like a creator that can do something that did something bad but is redeemable. For example, like let's say they did like a scam. They scammed their audience. Like obviously that sucks. You shouldn't scam your audience, but it's not as if they shouldn't be beyond redemption. But like, once you do a scam, you lose all that integrity, you lose all that trust, and all that is like thrown out the window. And like, maybe like everybody will be calling it a scam, but what if it was just like a big chain of miscommunication? Or it's like, for example, let's say I was selling a plushie, but actually the plushies were so horribly made and horribly shipped that they were like broken at the time of arrival.
What if you were selling a Grimace
for like way too much money? It's just like it's
and then people actually started like dying, and they're just like, this trend was a. But okay, these are all comedic like examples and stuff. But I totally, I totally understand, and like, unfortunately, like, there's nothing I don't have any insights or anything on that kind of space. It's definitely just like, these things are. I think the internet can sometimes be incredibly harsh. That being said, people who actually do, actual crimes, that for sure, I don't condone any of that activity. But the internet, I think, irregardless of that, can be incredibly harsh sometimes. And I think it's mostly shown in that like 5th episode, just how bad it can get.
It can really get, and they even like go beyond and touch about how like every person thinks that they're an exception. I loved that line because every person is like, well, I'm the exception because I do this or I am this, so I can make fun of that or whatever. It's like, so I can do this. It's like, oh, well, you know what? I watched Zeez's content for a whole year, so I'm the exception. I've known he was a terrible creator all this time. Or so, I don't know, for something like that. Obviously, there's like 1,000 different cases where everybody thinks they're exception. And like to an extent, I've found myself thinking that too, where it's like, you'll see something that's like, oh, this should apply to you. And I'm like, well, it doesn't apply to me. But like, how many other people are like, oh, this doesn't apply to me, but it probably like maybe does, and you're just not willing to admit it, or maybe you genuinely do, and it's just it's just the whole complexities of living and whatnot, and the internet is just, it's a crazy place. But I'm just hoping that like what we were talking about earlier, where where my content, I like to keep it family friendly, because that's literally just how I am in real life. I think you can attest to that. Obviously, for sure. it doesn't make sense because I can say it, but you're my friend, so of course I could make you be like,
right, yeah.
Make sure
there's a bit
you
of an,
tell them that I
there's
am
a
like
bit
the
of an
greatest human.
agreeance kind of thing, or it's like if you don't. Microscopic beginner, if you don't vouch for me on the internet, I'm gonna make you eat the Grimace shake and do the Grimace shake TikTok challenge.
Exactly.
But no, I completely understand. There's almost, this is one of the hardest things about the internet is that there's such a disconnect between, the fans as well as the creators, like that kind of parasocial relationship.
The parasocial relationships,
and we're just kind of getting to the brass tacks of it, where we're just now starting to realize how bad these things can be. Like, we talked about this a little bit on the first episode, but it's like we're just starting to coast the horizon on the effects that this is having on, like, older people, younger people of all generations. And part of it is going to have to be some trial and error, I think, because this is unknown territory. We're doing as much research as we can on it, but this is again, like most research is incredibly slow. This is going to take a while for sure. And these parasocial relationships are also incredibly hard because it's a very, very complex topic, and I don't think
it is. Yeah,
I don't think that there's a very easy way to enunciate. There's not a very easy way for me to enunciate like how I feel about it, other than I know that, especially in the case of that one episode that you're talking about, it's just like you really do feel sometimes for those people. Because it's one at that point it's like one person against the entire internet kind of thing.
Yeah, it really is, and stuff like that. Because again, like it's just you can like be genuine, but like not everybody's gonna believe you. Like I could tell you that I don't swear, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do like all of that. I'm a square person. I'm very clean. Yeah. But like I can tell you that, but it's like you don't know. Yeah. There's no way for me to prove that, right? I can't like have something recording me all the time, it's just like
it's incredibly hard. I definitely think that this is one of the complex topics that I actually am having like trouble being able to say much about, because it is one of those very complex things where it's like this is a result of the way that our world is built now. That being said, I think it's like it's definitely like one of the things that we're starting to just go towards the horizon, start to figure out, which is that like this is unknown territory, and there's not much I can say about that, unfortunately. This is a huge like thing that we're still trying to figure out and contend with.
If you want to hear like a really interesting side of it, just go watch Oshinoko up to episode 5 and 6.
Oh yeah, for sure. That one is I think it's a really good show for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Should we wrap it up there, or should we talk about like something actually really quick, just like nice before because we were heading off a little bit negative.
We did go on a bit of a long road, so to say. We came all the way back around, but I think there's a lot of really good discussion so far.
Oh yeah, we were usually like trying to keep these around an hour, but we had a lot to talk about today, I guess. Sure. So yeah, I guess we can wrap stuff up there. That was definitely really fun. We talked about a lot of stuff again, but that's just how it goes, That's just how it goes with the podcasts.
It's Catching Zeez.
Yeah, Catching Zeez. Hopefully you didn't catch any Z's or else, whatever. It's fine.
If you fell asleep during this podcast, I'm actually proud of you. People need to sleep more.
That's true, but maybe not. Well, actually, no. If you fall asleep while watching the content, then the video will still play and I'll get all the watch time. So yeah, I hope you fell asleep.
It's a win-win.
Indeed. But yeah, that'll be it for us. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it as always. I'm not sure who will be on next week, but I think it should be Racecar67. And I've reached out to some other creators to see if we can get like some other people on as well. But we'll go in with these three as like our main three, my three close friends here. So expect them to be on more and more often and bringing on their own insights, which should be a lot of fun. But yeah, again, that'll be it for today. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
See ya.